G'day guys and gal. It's hard to determine who is actually the protagonist of Warhammer 40k. Guilliman is one of 9 loyalist Primarchs, with the line also being back. The Emperor hasn't said much in the last 10,000 years, and Eisenhorn's entire plotline occurred 600 years before the current setting. But there is actually a case to be made for Garviel Loken, the last Lunar Wolf and one of the most beloved characters in the entire setting. Not only was he the first real character in the Horus Heresy, the most epic novel series ever written, but he was also there on the final pages, 60-ish novels later. So yes, it wouldn't be entirely wrong to call Garvey the Warhammer 40,000, especially since he was responsible for saving the entire galaxy in his own small way. With the Horus Heresy finally coming to a close, so does Garviel's story, however in a pretty uneventful and quite infuriating way, but still worth talking about. Before we get started, let's leave the neckbeards in 2023. To help us do this, I've partnered up with Manscaped for this video to showcase their handyman, the ultimate neckbeard destroyer. I get it, shaving can be time consuming and often painful with razor bumps and other annoying BS. But with the handyman, it's literally the easiest thing ever. Using its skin safe technology, you can get a clean shave without needing shaving cream or even aftershave balm. You can just run around that neck for a minute and bam, it's gone. With its compact design and long rechargeable battery life, it's the easiest thing to take around with you. Pairing this with the other Manscaped products like the lawnmower for keeping your hedges trimmed to a socially acceptable level, the plow 2.0 for when you really want that skin close razor shave, or the various washes and deodorants to keep you smelling your best. There is no reason not to give Manscaped a go, especially when by using my link and code Majorkill below, which will give you 20% off and free international shipping store-wide. It's time to change the Warhammer stereotype and start looking and smelling our best. Cheers to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over the life, death, and then actual death of Garviel Loken to see what a hero's journey truly looks like. Let's get into it. Like with many Space Marines, we don't actually get to have a big look at Loken's pre-Astartes life. A, because who gives a fuck, and B, most Space Marines don't actually remember much or anything before their ascensions, just key memories and flashbacks here or there. However, what we do know is that he is Chthonian, and he must have had a solid family because he would become one of the most steadfast, honourable, reliable, and all-round good blokes out of all the legions. Garviel was also quite human, having more soul and emotion than most of his brothers. He fondly remembers the compliance of Sarosel, an easy, bloodless affair that makes Garviel smile whenever he thinks of it due to all the locals wearing silly hats. Other more hardcore genocidal campaigns he looks back at not so fondly. After decades of service, Loken climbed the ranks of the Legion to become a captain. However, as Loken was not a true son of Horus, a term used to describe the Lunar Wolves whose transformation to become a Space Marine had altered their appearance to look more like their Primarch, it seemed as if his rise in the Legion had a hard ceiling. It wasn't an obvious discrimination within the Legion, but it did exist, with all members of Horus's Mournival, their inner circle, being sons of Horus. However, despite this, Loken would eventually rise even higher in his Legion after the compliance of 6319, a human world that believed that they were the original Terror and that their Emperor was the true Emperor of mankind. That human world would also be fucking shit at diplomacy, as they dishonorably killed the Lunar Wolf envoys and told the rest to lick their dirty rims. Loken fought like a hero of old in this conflict, being the first to reach this false Emperor, something that the other captains of the Legion were all gunning for, with this act also getting Horus's attention. However, what would really get Horus's attention was when Loken led a force against the final enemy holdout in the mountains. This holdout was cursed apparently, which yeah it was, with the local people summoning forth a demon called Samus to possess one of Loken's men and cause a ruckus. Samus is like 40k's Lucifer and has his destiny intertwined with Loken's, but more on that later. After unloading a fuckload of bolt shells into it, Samus was banished, but Loken was like, bruh, what the fuck was that? Horus comforted him, telling him that the warp was actually pretty spicy, but overall not to be worried about. During 6319, one of the Mournival was killed, Sejanus, creating an opening spot. With Horus being so impressed by Loken and his calm, collected attitude, as well as Loken being good mates with Tarek, another member of the Mournival, Loken was chosen to rise up to join them to become one of Horus's closest advisors. This was a massive honor and everything was looking good. I mean fuck, during this time even Abaddon was likable and was one of the good guys. As a fun little side note, it was also around this time that Lucius, the wanker from the Emperor's Children, visited the Lunar Wolves and was flexing on them in the practice cages, humiliating them in honor duels. Loken spotted a weakness in Lucius's style, so he stepped up to challenge him, warning him that fighting and dueling were two different things. Lucius ignored him and lunged forward with a perfect duelist stab. Loken, keeping his sword down, simply sidestepped Lucius and then punched him in the face, breaking his nose and humiliating him in front of everyone. It was a pretty fun scene. Loken also befriended a number of mortal remembrances at this time, Ignatius Carcassy, who was a rebellious, drunken but honest poet, Euphrates Keeler, an imagist who had gone to become the literal founder of the cult of the Emperor, and Mercedes Ollerton, a documentarist who became Loken's personal remembrancer, among a few others. He was happy to share his stories with them, but soon came to rely on them as a bit of a moral compass, especially as things began to get more complicated. However, all good things must come to an end. After all, you don't go from Loken being buddy-buddy with the loyalist Abaddon to the opening of the Great Rift without some shit going seriously wrong. At this point, Erebus was a secret chaos worshipper and had been creating warrior lodges in the various legions to slowly but surely poison the legions against the Emperor, while making them loyal to Horus. Loken was very suspicious of the warrior lodges, as he saw anything clandestine and secret to be in direct violation of the Emperor's edicts of truth. He did actually attend a few meetings to check it out, and to be fair, he thought they were actually pretty okay, but it did feel like the legion was changing. However, then some big events began happening that really started to move things along, and not for the better. The first was when they met the Interrex, a human Xeno civilization that was anti-chaos and pretty chill. Initially, diplomacy went well, but when Erebus stole a special chaos knife and framed Horus as an agent of chaos, shit went south and the two sides fought. Horus was extremely bitter about this, and it gave him the push he needed to finally rebrand the Lunar Wolves into the Sons of Horus, a move Loken found to be distasteful and reeking of ego. Another issue Loken noticed was that the Mournival wasn't really this group of advisors that Horus relied on to keep him on track. They were a political tool that Horus could use in front of others to bring up points or topics that Horus just couldn't bring up on his own without looking like a bit of an egomaniac. They were basically there to make him look good and gas him up, hinting at Horus's deeply buried monstrous ego. However, these issues were just minor pre-entrees to the mega supersized main meal. When Horus and his legion went to Davin and were led into an ambush by Erebus, which subsequently led to Horus getting stabbed with the chaos knife Erebus stole from the Interrex, shit went bad. The wound was killing Horus and making his legion desperate. So desperate in fact that when they brought Horus back on board the Vengeful Spirit to take him to the apothecary, Loken and his brothers bashed and bludgeoned their way through the crowd of mortals that were gathered around to see the War Master, showing that even Loken, for all his humanity, was still a space marine. This incident was pretty horrific, and Loken did feel bad about it, but he still did maim and kill dozens of Imperial citizens. When Horus wasn't getting better, the desperate legion was given a choice. They could take Horus to the healing temples on Davin, or watch him die. Loken and Tarek thought what was happening was fucked up, but they could not use some weird esoteric method of healing their father. However, Abaddon and Horus Aximand, the other two members of the Mournival, wanted to save Horus at all costs. Abaddon won out, and Horus was taken into the Davinite temple, where he was saved at the cost of his soul. The Horus that walked out of the temple was changed, with Loken noticing it straight away. Horus became cold and distant, with the Mournival basically dissolving, as Horus no longer gave a fuck, and Abaddon and Aximand now despised Loken for trying to stop Horus's Davinite resurrection. Horus also engaged in some pretty fucked up extra war crimey campaigns to prepare for the heresy. Loken began to fall into despair as he saw the legion he loved losing its nobility. Then there was Isstvan III. Loken was obviously selected as a part of the legion that needed to be purged, hence he was sent to the surface to die alongside Tarek. However, due to the Giga Chad Sol Tarvitz warning the loyalists first, they were able to get to cover before the virus bombs dropped, thus begun a brutal battle as the traitors and loyalists tore each other apart. However, despite an epic showing, the loyalist elements were massively outgunned and outnumbered. They knew victory was impossible, but if they could kill a few of the traitor champions, that could really twist the war in the favour of the loyalists. During the final battle, Loken and Tarek went to go try find and kill Abaddon and Aximand. On the way they encountered Khan, with Loken managing to outplay him and impale him on a rhino spike. Then the Mournival met, Loken taking on Abaddon, Tarek taking on Aximand. Amazingly, Loken was actually able to get the upper hand on Abaddon by burying him under some rubble which fucked him up due to his heavy warplate. However, Aximand was able to overcome and then cut off Tarek's head, breaking Loken and allowing him to be wounded. He was left to die as virus bombs once again rained down on Isstvan III. But he survived! Apparently getting mortally wounded then turbo nuked is just a mild inconvenience for our boy Loken, who would dig himself out of the rubble and wander Isstvan III for years, with nothing but the corrupted walking corpses of the dead for company. He lost his mind and called himself Cerebus. As he fought non-stop for survival, Malcador caught wind of him and sent Nathaniel Garrow to go find him. Garrow was forced to fight Loken until Loken finally gathered up his marbles and regained his identity, although he was traumatized as fuck. Loken would undergo a number of missions for Malcador, First he went to Caliban to figure out if the Dark Angels were loyal. In the process he gained the attention and the help of the Watchers in the Dark. Then he went to Molech to board the Vengeful Spirit in order to gain intel and mark the way for a future Space Wolf attack. He actually ended up confronting Horus here and was able to resist the temptation to rejoin his legion. Then on Terra he fought against a demon known as the Lord of Flies, a monster Garrow had previously banished. With all this legendary service he and his fellow Knight Errants had provided, Knight Errants being the agents of Malkador, the Emperor offered them the role to become the founding members of the Grey Knights. However, when he saw Loken in person, he changed his mind, knowing that Loken had a different purpose. Loken would fight and die in the Siege of Terra instead. During the siege, Loken would spend a bunch of time killing Samus again and again, because Lucifer doesn't know when to fuck off. Then he would also spend a shitload of time killing his traitorous Sons of Horus brothers. At this point, Loken had become a beast, one of the deadliest Astartes in the galaxy, not too far off Sigismund's power to be honest. He was able to kill Tormageddon to finally allow Tarek's spirit to rest in peace, and then he also killed Horus Aximand, avenging Tarek in the process. He was a one-man juggernaut, however fate had plans for him, opening a secret door for him to teleport him onto the Vengeful Spirit, most likely the Emperor's doing, as Loken would have an important role to play in the final battle. Loken was able to reach Alanis' person and friends on the Vengeful Spirit before then finding the Emperor himself. Loken and Ol were able to talk the Emperor down from ascending to become the Dark King, the 5th Chaos God, and then they went with him to go face off against Horus. Now in this epic fight, Loken wasn't exactly clapping Horus's cheeks, but with Horus being really upset about how things had been playing out, he felt vulnerable around Loken. The Emperor actually used an illusion of Loken to convince Horus to release his Chaos power, thus making him killable, something the Emperor took advantage of. When the real Loken was able to gather up his marbles after the fight, he refused to leave the corpse of Horus. He was discovered by Abaddon, who was so sick of all the bloodshed, and he actually also still respected Loken, that he allowed Loken to either leave or come with them. Either way he would be spared. But then Erebus out of fucking nowhere appears behind Loken and stabs him in the back, killing him. What the fuck? Erebus then explains that the act of killing Loken in such a bitch-ass way created Samus, which then went back in time to help kick off the heresy. I can see what the writer was trying to do by being clever, but bruh, Erebus killing fan-favorite characters with backstabs is not something anyone actually enjoys reading about. Thus ends the tale of Loken, the last Lunar Wolf, and the man who not only helped stop the Emperor from going Dark King mode, which would have been bad, but also gave the Emperor the opening to kill Horus, even if he wasn't actually the one that did it. I fucking hate Erebus, man. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be, where we have a bunch of live action nude cosplays, Warhammer fan arts, and a boatload of Battlemace 40 million hentai. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more shit content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.